Hari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jaya Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi, Kodanitai, Maya Poshashi. Jayo Shital Sena, Shital Sena, Shital Sena, Shital Sena. Yo kitty taddy da, kitty taddy da, kitty taddy da, kitty taddy da. Jayo Brinda Devi, Brinda Devi, Brinda Devi, Brinda Devi. Yo Nisingadev, 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 Nisingadev. Nisingadev, Nisingadev, Jaya Nisingadev. Go to Premanandi. Haribol. So, welcome everybody. Karuna Bhavan's Sunday program is earlier now, 12 till 2. And I've been asked to speak a little bit about the subject of Namahatta. Namahatta, something which Bhaktivinoda Thakur has set up, 500 different Namahattas, and quite a lot of them are still going. So the Namahattas are a strong way of establishing Krishna consciousness. And so if we can establish strong Namahatta, groups of devotees meeting regular and following a certain system of studying the books, chanting together and going out to do Sankirtan, book distribution together, and Harinam Sankirtan and Prasadam distribution, then as a yatra we grow strong. There's a beautiful book by Shiva Ramaraj called Shuddha Bhakti Chintamani, and he identifies there two factions that we have to be wary of if we're to remain chaste to ISKCON and be Prabhupada Anugas. One is Ritvik and the other is Gaudiya Mat, and they're both okay in their own camps, but we stay a distance from them. So one devotee was going down the Jalangi, and on one side of the Jalangi there's all these mats, all these little temples, and on the other side of the Jalangi in Mayapur is the massive Mayapur Chandrodaya. And he was pointing out this is the difference between Gaudiya Mat and ISKCON. In ISKCON we have a GBC and we work together in a unified way, so we're able to achieve amazing things. On the other side, the Gaudiya Mat, they all have their own mats. They all have their own acharya. They don't have a GBC. Maybe that's changing now, but they never did have a GBC. So therefore, that acharya, that mat, that group of devotees, they do their thing. The next one does theirs. The next one does theirs. If they all unified, then they would have a Mayapur Chandrodaya. But there has to be two things there, acharya, and there has to be GBC. The Ritviks, they don't accept anybody other than Srila Prabhupada. After Prabhupada, no more gurus, they say. So they believe only in acharya. They don't have, they only believe in GBC. Apart from Prabhupada, there's no other acharya. But for ISKCON to work, you need acharya and you need a GBC. GBC is the governing body commission, so they're the ones who decide who is a spiritual master, who remains a spiritual master, who's a sannyasi, who's not. All these titles and positions, they're overseen by the governing body. And the beauty of that is one individual may go wrong. In Kali Yuga, that's very easy. But a group of individuals, it's much harder for all of them to go wrong. So if you have a group, a governing body commission, then that safeguards the acharya, makes sure that he's always bona fide and aligned. And as soon as he's not, then he can be removed. Reason I'm saying that, because Prabhupada said we'll show our love for him by how we can cooperate together. So the challenge is, can we unify together on the common goal? And this is from a book by Naranjan Swami called Taking Care of Krishna's Devotees. Srila Jiva Goswami explains, this is an actual quote now from Srila Jiva Goswami, though one usually ignores others in attaining one's own goals, those aspiring for prema, anyone aspiring for prema? Aspiring for prema? Yeah. Okay, that's good. I'm in the right temple then. That's good. Those aspiring for prema accept dependence on others with similar goals and tastes, thus cooperating with each other. They work together, keeping in mind the goal of prema. So then he goes on to say, I sensed, this is him in the beginning when he joined the movement, I sensed that the devotees were inspired because they were sheltered and felt themselves a part of a mission. Does anyone here feel sheltered and part of a mission? Hopefully. At least that's what we're trying to do. If we're going to get anywhere in ISKCON, in the Scottish Yatra, we have to have devotees that are here because they feel sheltered and they feel themselves part of a mission. Anyone like to say what the mission is? If they feel part of it, what that mission is? Don't all speak at once. What's the mission? Achieve Krishna Prema. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah, so the mission, actually, it's interesting, the mission Prabhupada said, because we were a preaching movement, we're going out giving people books, trying to help them become aware of spiritual life, share the knowledge that we've achieved ourselves. But Srila Prabhupada said the highest principle is to save yourself. So the first part of the mission is saving yourself, first of all. So how do we save ourselves? By chanting the holy name purely. Shuddhanam. If you chant Shuddhanam, everything's fine. Everything else is covered. All the mistakes, all the problems, all the offenses that we tend to make in Kali Yuga, in the material world, if we're chanting Shuddhanam, then they'll all be burnt away. Because you can only chant Shuddhanam if you don't have any offenses. But that's what we're trying to do anyway. So the mission is to take shelter of the holy name. Once we've taken shelter of the holy name and we're feeling that shelter, then we can go out and we can share the shelter we're experiencing with others. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Is there more? So that's the first part of the mission. We have to chant very attentively with deep absorption, experiencing a taste for the holy name, experiencing also the knowledge that comes when we're chanting nicely, the knowledge also that comes. So to chant the holy name properly, how do we achieve that? What do we need if we want to chant the holy name properly? What is it? Well, there's a few things we need. What's one of the things that we need to chant the holy name purely? You need knowledge, yeah. You need to read Srila Prabhupada's books. Srila Prabhupada is the designated distributor of the holy name. And so he's given us the books. He said that my books are just word juggery to get you to chant the holy name purely. So basically, unless you assimilate all the information there in the books, all the philosophy, all the tattva, all the rasa, you won't be able to chant the holy name properly. So before you can hear the holy name, you have to hear about the holy name. You hear about the holy name, and then you think, wow, this sounds good. I'd like to hear the holy name. If this is what hearing about the holy name, if this is what hearing the holy name sounds like, if this is what it does for you, then I want to do that. I want to hear the holy name. So then we become inspired and we embark on the process. That's called swasti ayana. We embark on an auspicious journey. Is the journey going to take a lifetime? Tune in 50 years and find out whether you're coming back to the material world. That's when you'll find out. Or hopefully you'll find out before that. So swasti ayana is we're engaged on an auspicious journey and we want to make this the last lifetime in the material world. But what may happen is you may take up Krishna consciousness and you may lack the faith, or your faith may be tested. Can I really do it in this one lifetime? So you have two options at that point. One is you can go and get the association and gain the faith that you can go back in this one lifetime, or you can stay in the quagmire of skepticism, the breeding ground of superfluous desires, So you can be one of the cynical backbenchers, one of the devotees that gathers in the corridor and is moaning and complaining about this, that, and the next thing. They're not going back this lifetime. They've got too many offenses, too much aparad. So they'll be coming back. How many lifetimes it's going to take? If you want to go back this lifetime, make this your last lifetime in the material world, it's there. You can do it if you want, but you have to want. And to want to, the Sanskrit word for wanting to is lobha. What's lobha? You got to be greedy. Now, when you think of greed, when I first heard you have to be greedy, I didn't like the idea because it reminded me of a really, really fat person eating an extra Mars bar that he didn't really need to eat. And because he was greedy, he was putting it in. So it had a negative connotation. But I was thinking about this greed. It's like a man that's been held under the water. And then suddenly he's so greedy for that next breath of air. He'll do anything to try and get his lips above the water, to breathe in that breath of life. So we have to be greedy like that for the holy name and greedy like that for the knowledge. If we have that strong desire, then it will happen. If we don't, then we'll just be under the water. Glug, 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 glug. So we have to become greedy. Greedy also means being utsahanishyatarya, that you have to be enthusiastic, you have to be confident, and you have to be patient as well. And if you're all those things, then you can take shelter nicely of the holy name. Then if you're sheltered, then once you've saved yourself, if you're in a river drowning and everyone's drowning with you, and you go over to somebody and you say, I'm sorry, I can see you're drowning. Come to me. And the man says, oh, okay, can you swim? No, can't really, but I'll give you a hug. And then you both go under, right? So you're going to have to tell the guy that's drowning, sorry, just give me, I'm just going to have to learn to swim. Once I swim, just hang on in there, and I'll come back in a few weeks, and I can come and save you, you know. So until you learn how to swim, and until you learn how to take shelter of the holy name, then you can't really give anybody else shelter. So that will take some time. And you may start chanting the holy name with all enthusiasm. And you may be doing it with such confidence that this is the right thing to do. But then, Rupa Goswami is saying you also have to be patient. So we can be enthusiastic and we can be confident, but then can you do that over a sustained period of time? Or do you become impatient and think, oh, well, I was doing it because I thought this was going to be happening and it doesn't really seem to be happening. So I tried and, you know. Just like in that book by Shiva Ramanuja, it's called Chant More. And the chapter that we've just read, somebody was saying, I know devotees that joined the Hare Krishna movement and they were chanting and they left because they said they found it was boring and they weren't achieving the result that they wanted to. So therefore, chanting Hare Krishna doesn't work. So Shiva Ramanuja was saying, well, it's a scientific process. If you put hydrogen and oxygen together, 2 parts one and 1 part the other, then you will get water. So if you say, no, I tried it doesn't work, either that means all the professors were wrong, all the previous tests and experiments were wrong, or you're doing it wrongly. So we can say, you know, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, many, many thousands and millions of people have achieved perfection by following this process. And we know so many devotees in ISKCON that have gone back to Godhead. We know so many devotees are experiencing deep taste. They are all wrong then, because you don't do it properly. That means everybody's wrong. The better thing would be, okay, it's not been working for me. I've been finding it boring. I'm not getting any taste. Maybe I'm not doing it properly. Maybe I have to do it with more faith, with more attention, with more sincerity, and then Krishna will reciprocate. So the onus is on you to do that. And that means you have to be patient because the results don't come like that. It's not instant. It's not like instant Krishna consciousness. You just take a spoonful of it, you mix it in the water, ding, and you get pure love of God. Haribol. It's not instant Krishna consciousness. It takes a long time. And Krishna's testing you. Okay, are you sure you really want it? Do you really want it? First of all, in the Manashiksha, Raghunath Das Goswami is just saying, have an unprecedented excessive desire to please Radha Krishna, to chant the name, to chant Gayatri. But then later on, when you get to the 4th and 5th instructions in the Manashiksha, he's saying, do you really want it? Are you sure you really want this? Do you really want Krishna? Krishna's not cheap. If you want him, he wants everything. What Krishna really wants. What's the one thing that Krishna wants? Of all the things that we've got, what does Krishna want? He wants our consciousness. That's what he wants. Just our consciousness. There's nothing else that you've got that Krishna finds very interesting. He's not interested in your shirt, even if it's a very nice one, or your hairstyle, or your aftershave, or how big your house is. All he wants is your consciousness. And if your consciousness is absorbed in him, he's pleased because he knows that you are pleased, because he knows that when you're fully conscious of him, that's when you're going to be really satisfied. And when he sees that you're really satisfied, then he's really satisfied. So, based upon my experiences, this is Naranjan Swami from Taking Shelter, from the previous 2 decades, that which most often created such a strong sense of camaraderie, was when devotees were all focused together, are you ready for this? On Srila Prabhupada's mission to distribute his books. Everyone say, Haribo! Haribo! Thank you. So that is it. We experienced that a little bit this year in the marathon. Devotees were going out. They were doing some book distribution. And who went out on the marathon? Did you experience shelter? Even when you didn't have an umbrella? Yeah. So you feel part of the mission. If you're not doing the mission is book distribution. That's what we're here for. That's the family business is. Of course, with book distribution, the funny thing about book distribution is, if you give somebody a book and they say, well, what am I supposed to do with this? And you say, well, you don't read it. You just hand it on to somebody else. So that person takes the book and he's told, you don't actually read the book, you just give it to somebody else. So he gives it to somebody else. And the other person goes to read, says, no, you don't read it, you just hand it to somebody else. And then they hand it. So the books are all getting handed around. Everyone's passing them out because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Book distribution. So when you get the book, just give it to somebody and he can give it to someone. And everyone's going around doing book distribution. But the whole point of book distribution is to get people to read the books. You have to read the books, understand the books, assimilate the Sambandha, put it into practice, Abhidheya, and know what the Sadhya is, the goal, Prayojana, to achieve it. So the mission is to distribute the books, and the very first person you should distribute the books to is yourself. You're the first person you need to give a book to. Give yourself a book. Oh, what's this? Bhagavad Gita. Okay, let me read it. First person you want to give a book to is yourself. Then when you give it to yourself, well, this is pretty cool, amazing. Then you'll naturally want to share it with somebody else. Here's a Bhagavad Gita. What's it all about? Well, I was just reading this morning, 3 modes of material nature. I was in the mode of ignorance. I did some chanting. I come into the mode of passion. Before I knew it, after breakfast, I was in the mode of goodness. Everything was fantastic. This is the Bhagavad Gita. This is how it works. If we don't read the books, then you won't be able to distribute them properly. Because when people ask you what's it about, just read it, you'll find out for yourself. You're supposed to know what the books mean, what they're about. So the camaraderie is when we all get together and we distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. We study Srila Prabhupada's books. We come together for sanghas and we talk. The sangha is Anga is limb, and Sangha means that you come together as a body, and a limb on a body is very intimately connected. It's like, can you imagine you're there in your body and you're walking down a road and the leg is really sore, and you say, that leg has been giving me jip all week, just chop it off. We'll hop in. We'll just hop in. We don't really need the leg anyway. It's always smelly. It's got a smelly sock on the end of it. It's just a waste of time. Chop the leg off. We can hop in, no problem. It doesn't work, right? The body is, as soon as one of the angas is having problems, that affects the whole body. So when we form a sangha, thank you, Prabhu. Prabhupada has just given me a voice. So when we have a sangha, it means you're intimately connected, every part of the body. So if some part of the body is ailing, the rest of the body's like, what's wrong with the leg? Try giving it a massage. What's wrong? It's not getting enough blood. Oh, the muscles a bit. Give it a massage. And then when the leg's okay, then everyone's good, So it's so important to have sangha. And we sit there and then we can discuss, because you may have read the book and you may have got this idea, or you may have got this question, and you weren't quite sure how you could apply this or what Prabhupada meant by that. And then in a Sangha, you can learn, you could be chanting for, we started doing this Japa Sangha. One of the devotees that came along had been chanting Hare Krishna for 30 years. And he said, after a few sanghas, he said, I've been making a noise for 30 years and I've just started chanting now. So for 30 years, he was putting this bag on his hand and making this noise. But it wasn't actually chanting, it's just making the noise. And they started doing the Sangha. After we were talking about chanting, how to properly chant, and he realized, okay, this is. And once he started chanting properly, then he wanted to get initiated. And then suddenly, within just a few months, he was an initiated devotee. Otherwise, he could have carried on for another 30 years just making a noise with a bag on the end of his hand, We need to know what is proper chanting. If the chanting is just okay, then it's not okay. Okay chanting is not okay. So you have to look at your japa. Am I going to make it in this lifetime? If I chant my japa to this quality for the rest of my life, will that be enough? And if it's not, okay, what steps am I going to take to improve? What would I like to see my japa look like in 10 years from now? Would I like to be able to sit down and chant and everything else just goes away and I'm just absorbed in the Leela and all I can hear is the sound of Krishna's names, and then I come out and I put the 16th beat down and I say, oh, this is not enough, I need to chant more. A good sign that you're chanting properly is that when the 16th beat goes down, it goes down like this. Not like, thank God for that, that's over, let's go and do something a bit more interesting. That's how you know if you've got a taste for the holy name. If you're really happy to put the bead back down, you've not got a taste. Sorry, you've not got a taste. If you say you've not got enough time to chant Hare Krishna, it just means you've not got enough taste to chant Hare Krishna. That's what it means. Because you've always got enough time to eat, right? Because you've got a taste for it. There's never a time when you don't have enough time. Never was there a time when there was not enough time to eat prasadam. Nor in the future will it ever cease to be. Because we like doing it, so it gratifies the senses, great. So if we can like chanting, if we can actually experience pleasure when we're chanting, then we will want to chant. And when we read, if we read first and then chant and find our chanting is so much better, then we need to read. The reading is there as a preparation, so that when you can chant with this knowledge, this sambandha, and then as you're chanting, you're assimilating the information, the lila, the rasa, the tattva, that's all going on in the back of the mind, and you're chanting. So that's sadhana. It's a scientific process. Sa means to bestow, and dana means wealth, to bestow upon ourselves the greatest wealth. So we come together, we form a society, we share common goals, we have regular sangha. There's one on Tuesdays, do a little plug here. Tuesday between 7 and 8, I can give you the Zoom link. We do Shuddhabhakti Chintamani Sangha. Thursdays, again, 7 to 8, we do Japa Sangha. Everyone, including Mataji, is invited to join the Sanghas. And it's not me just being, trying to be the pandit telling everybody the goal of life, like Guruji or something. But we're coming together and we're discussing. And all the devotees that come on make very, very relevant points. And they speak about things that you've never heard before about the holy name. And it's fascinating. And it fills you with so much knowledge. And the word Shastra is very similar to the word Astra. Astra is a weapon. And what knowledge does is it gives you weapons to cut down the wall of ignorance that is separating us from Krishna. So if you were so busy that you went out onto the battlefield in your chariot and you said, where's the battle? Okay, quick, get my chariot, okay. And then you get there and then you see the enemy and someone says, use your bow and arrow. And you shout back, I didn't have time to get the bow and arrow. Well, use the axe. Hit on the head with the axe. I didn't bring the axe here. Well, what did you bring? Well, I didn't get a chance to bring anything, did I? I got up late this morning. I jumped straight in the chariot. I'm here chanting, and but you're supposed to. When you come onto the battlefield, you have your astras. And so you need your Shastra. You need the weapons of knowledge. Otherwise, you're going to get smashed. You're going to get annihilated, guaranteed. The three modes of material nature will come in and they'll paste you, flatten you to the ground. And then after a while, you'll lose your desire, your enthusiasm to go out and get annihilated. So before you go on the battlefield, that's why the Bhagavad Gita was spoken on the battlefield, because getting out of the material world in Kali Yuga is a battle. And it's a minefield out there. There's all kinds of things that can go wrong on the way back. And we can see it in the history of ISKCON. You can vividly see, if you're going to make it, if you're going to navigate through that battlefield, you need all the weapons at your disposal. You need a shield, the shield of the holy name, and you need the weapons of the astras, of the shastras, so that when something's being thrown at you, you can say, Vikriditam Vrajabhadibheditam Cha Vishnu, from the 10th canto. I can tell you what that means later if you want to know. All these different weapons anyway. And you have them, and it helps you in your battle. And so you have the camaraderie of a common mission. We're all here to distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. Distributing Srila Prabhupada's books means the first person you have to give a book to is yourself. You have to distribute a book to yourself every day and make sure you read it and understand it. And then you have sanghas, and you say, I read this and it doesn't seem quite practical. How would you apply that when this situation is here? And then through the sangha, we become intimately connected as a body. We synergize. 1 + 1 = 2. But in a body where you synergize, 1 + 1 = 11. So you put in 1 and you get 110% back when you form a sangha. So it's an invaluable resource. And if you have older people that are in the sangha that have been through the thing many, many times, then they can help. They can say how to keep going, how to avoid this, how to avoid that, how to apply yourself. So then the sanghas are there. Then you have some understanding of the books. Then you go out and you show people that you're experiencing yourself shelter, and you want to bring them in also to the shelter. And if you do book distribution, then you get to be the mouthpiece through which Krishna is going to speak to that particular conditioned soul that he wants to hear his message spoken to. You get to be used. That's very intimate. You know, people want to be, they want Gopi Bhav and Manjari Bhav, and they want to be, if you want to be intimate, then go out and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books and feel yourself being used as Krishna's mouthpiece. That is very intimate. You'll speak the words that Krishna wants that person to hear. Isn't that amazing? That Krishna can do that? And you'll experience that if you go out to do it. So Niranjan Swami goes on to say, although that is still our mission, as bestowed upon all of us by Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, still, in my opinion, gradually, over the previous 2 decades, in most temples throughout the world, most of those living outside, working, and often struggling to maintain family, were feeling left out of that mission. Srila Prabhupada gave us much more than just a mission to distribute his books. He also gave us the means to blissfully chant, dance, honor prasadam in the association of devotees. And our mission was to expand this experience in a way that it could become readily accessible for everyone, whether brahmachari, grihasta, vanaprastha, or sannyas. These householders were joyfully chanting, dancing, and honoring Krishna prasadam, and it seemed to me that they were living for tasting as much as they could get of this nectar. So hopefully that's why we're all here, because we've seen devotees experiencing that nectar, and we want to experience that nectar. Generally, if you ask most people, what was the event that clinched the deal that made them want to commit to becoming part of ISKCON? And a lot of them say it was seeing devotees on Harinam. When they saw that, they saw the devotees blissfully chanting, they realized that's what I've been looking for. That's what I want, you know. That's what the advertising do. They try to get you to think. They show you somebody really blissful and he's got a Magnum chalk ice. You know, she's usually quite a voluptuous lady with hardly anything on. And she's just sinking her teeth into the Magnum. Bliss. And then people are thinking, that's what I want. I want the bliss. I have to buy a Magnum jockey. Get a Magnum jockey. Or she's lying over a Vauxhall Salon 2.5 estate automatic diesel. You're thinking that's what it is. I need one of those and I'll be okay, you know. But when we see the Harinam, then we think, that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. And then we become enticed into Krishna consciousness because we see that they're experiencing that bliss, their sense of eternality, knowledge, eternal, blissful, knowledgeable existence. They're experiencing it, and we want that as well. That's what we're all looking for, eternal bliss and knowledge, actually. Then he says, frankly, I'm tired of hammering devotees, and therefore I put my hammer away many years ago. If I use a hammer again, it will be only to hit a nail into the wall. So you could say, Prabhu, you know, you need to surrender, put a saffron dhoti on, come on, go for it. 300 books a day, come on, you can do it. But the real way to motivate the devotees is to give them the taste that they're hankering for. When they experience that taste, that's what Lord Chaitanya is saying, it's that taste for which we're always anxious. Glory to the Sri Sankirtan movement, because it gives us a taste for which we're always anxious. Everyone's anxious for it. And we saw it over the Christmas period. Everyone was running around in so much anxiety. They're not quite sure why, but they're all, you've got to buy things, you've got to get, you know. And now, because all the sales are on, everyone's running in, and it's a sale. What is it? I don't know, but it's 70% off. Look, just buy it. It's 70% off. It must be good. Just get it, you know. And they did this thing, I saw it on, I think it was Instagram. It had a red label, and it said only $12.99. And then when you peeled the label off, underneath, it was $10.99. So they get totally ripped off. Everything's 70% cheaper. Well, if it's 70% cheaper, that means that before the sale, they were totally ripping you off. They were charging you 70% more, and they can still make a profit with 70% cheaper. Then they must be totally ripping you off, right? So they're all running around, but what they're really looking for is Krishna. Everybody's looking for Krishna. Some don't realize that they are, but they are. But that's what everyone wants. Everybody wants Krishna. Because we're all part and parcel of Krishna. The only time you can be properly conscious is when you're Krishna conscious. It's like sunshine. What is sunshine? Sunshine doesn't mean anything if you say, look at the shine coming through the windows. And think, what are you talking about, the shine? The sunshine. Oh, the sunshine. Yeah, the sunshine. When you say consciousness, unless you say Krishna consciousness, it doesn't mean anything. Unless it's consciousness of Krishna, it doesn't mean anything. That's the original state of the consciousness of Krishna. That's the pure natural state. And that's what everybody wants. That's what everyone's looking for. And until you get to that original natural state, then you're never going to be satisfied. In my early years of Krishna consciousness, this is Naranjan Swami speaking again from taking care of Krishna's devotees, because of the care that I felt, it helped me to remain committed to Krishna consciousness. It was not a forced care. Forced care does not work. I didn't feel that my temple president was caring for me because he was being forced by some duty that he had to take care of. He cared about me. And not only that, but what really made it so attractive is that I felt that he cared about me because he wanted me to be Krishna conscious. Sometimes we say that book distribution is the heart of our movement, but book distribution and distributing Krishna consciousness are synonymous. The heart of our movement is to give Krishna consciousness to others. So that's what it really is. You know? That's what the book distribution that we're doing is because we want to give people consciousness of Krishna. Not because we want a big score or we want to be famous as a book distributor or a Sankirtan devotee, but because we want people to be Krishna conscious. If we start equating Krishna consciousness with the external activities, then what happens is gradually we become attached to these things. That is called Taranga Ranjani, attached to the comforts of one's position. There's 6 forms of unsteady devotional service, and the last form of unsteady devotional service is Taranga Ranjani. It's the final, most subtle one. The first one is Utsamai. You really think, I've been a devotee now for 2 hours and 45 minutes. We'll be taking disciples to. You want Diksha? I can give you a different name if you like. That's Utsamai, false confidence. And then you go through all these different stages of unsteady devotional service, and finally you get to Taranga Ranjani. In Taranga Ranjani, you can lead a kirtan, you know a few shlokas, you can do a few books, you know how to put your dhoti on, everything's cool, I'm A-okay, I'm going to get my cover on the BTG, going to get a picture of me on the cover of the BTG. I keep getting richer, but I can't get the picture on the cover of a BTG. So that's what you want now. You want a bit of prestige, Taranga Ranjani. And that's not what the Sankirtan movement is about. It's about sharing Krishna consciousness. So we have to be careful we don't get sidetracked by these external allurements or qualifications that we can have, and we use them for recognition. Spreading Krishna consciousness includes to ourselves also. So like we want the books to go out, but if we want the book to go to us, we want to be able to understand and apply the book. And the only way that we're going to know whether we are applying the book properly is if we are in the Sangha where we can get feedback and we can find out, is this, yesterday, Guru, I spent all day groveling on the floor. Is that good? Am I becoming humble? Well, it doesn't actually quite mean that, Prabhu, when you're supposed to be humble. I just go around everywhere crawling. Is that good? Am I being humble? No, you're going to ruin your trousers, but you're going to wear holes in your knees if you do that. You better just stand up. And, okay, so we need to clarify then, what does it mean when it says be humble? What does that mean? Being humble means working hard, having high integrity, respecting others, listening more than speaking. These are all symptoms of a person that's really humble. So that only comes if you have a Sangha. You can get that feedback. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that for one who is practicing Bhakti Yoga, if his mind is absorbed in speaking about others, either out of pride or out of envy, then one can never fix his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. So we should not have these meetings simply to talk or complain about others. We should have these meetings to benefit for ourselves. So when we come together and we have a Sangha, we're not there to criticize anybody. We're just there to try and encourage everybody to become more Krishna conscious, try and inspire everybody. And I had a nice experience the other day. There was one devotee and I was asking him why he doesn't come for class. And he was very, very humble the way he answered. It was very touching to the heart to see that humility there. And this is actually how we bond together as a community, when we have genuine humility and genuine respect for each other. This is the foundation. And if we're criticizing all the times and moaning and whining and complaining, then all it does is they say you become what you appreciate in others. So if devotees always going around saying, oh, that devotee is so humble, that one, he's so dedicated, that one has such an amazing taste for kirtan, this one, he cooks like really well, and it's always appreciating, then that's what you become. And if you're criticizing all the time, then that's what you become all the time. So when we come together like this, it can work really, really well, or it can work really, really badly, just depending on what your attitude is and how you interact with the other devotees. Any questions or comments? So what's our mission? Who said that? Oh, to be Krishna conscious. Yeah, our mission is to be Krishna conscious, be conscious of Krishna. And how do we become Krishna conscious? By hearing about the holy name and hearing the holy name. And this inspires us to chant the holy name nicely. And that's our mission. And then what is the other part of our mission? Once you become saved, what's the next part of the mission? To save others, to share it with others also, yeah. So once we become firm in our Krishna consciousness, then we can start to go out, we can start to bring others in as well. And then sometimes we may be out there and somebody says something to us and we don't know how to answer it. The person will ask a question and we go away and we're not quite sure, you know. You have to think about it. You ever had that happen? Yeah. 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 It's called Shanga. Sangha Chaga Satovati. So Sangha is the general mundane view of things, and Chagat means to reject. Rupa Goswami is explaining like that in Nectar of Instruction, in Instruction 3. And then he says, Satovrati, he says, follow the saints, the Sato. Find who the saints are, follow them, and reject the Sangha. And the Sangha could come in the form of social media or newspaper. I was doing a file the other day betting the stocks, and I had to rip up some newspapers. And it's the same story every week about this guy that was a transgender, and then this guy got beaten up, and then the next minute, the next newspaper, the next week, and it's that, or it's Princess Kate, and it's like just the same old garbage, just getting churned up over and over again, you know, just to keep people in this really dumbed down consciousness, you know. Just pay the bill, get in debt and pay the bills. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about anything else. Everything else will be fine. So yeah, we want to reject the mundane association, which is subtly trying to condition us to become consumers and just be part of the economic mechanism, you know. If you stay in debt, then you stay enslaved. That's what debt is for, enslaving us. Yeah, so that's the mission. Go out and spread the knowledge, experience it for ourselves, and then they'll form sanghas. And we come together and we regularly discuss, and this will nourish us and deepen the bonds. Somebody was saying the other day, actually, it's a devotee over in Hungary, and she was saying, "Oh, I don't, I'm so busy in Krishna consciousness, I don't have time to really develop any deep relationships with anybody." So how do we develop deep relationships with each other? Yes, Matthew. Spend time with one another. Doing anything in particular? Yeah. Reading the Srimad Bhagavatam together, that's a nice one. Any other ways we can deepen the bonds of affection? Serving together, shoulder to shoulder, nose to the grindstone. Dadati Padiginiti Goyim Bhakti Pritchati. And what does Prabhupada say in the purport? The Dadati principle, what does he say that is? He says the Dadati principle is be in a kirtan with a more advanced devotee and allow him to share his taste for the holy name. He says that's the Dadati principle. So when we want to bond with devotees, we can do it by hanging out and talking about how the pipes burst and we know a plumber, and that's great. But the real thing is we bond through kirtan. If you're in an amazing kirtan with somebody, there's one devotee, he can't even speak English. We were in this kirtan for like about 5 hours and we were dancing together. And afterwards we were the best of pals. I couldn't understand a word he was saying, but he's my best pal because we were so intimately connected in the kirtan. We were just bonding. After that, we're just like, every time I see him now, I'm like, how you bone? We have a big hug. He's my pal. I love him. I trust him, with my life. And about 5 hours in kirtan together. That's the Dadati principle Prabhupada is talking about. Dadati means to give in charity. So when you experience a taste that somebody else is experiencing when he's leading the kirtan, and he's sharing the taste with you, like Ishan Prabhu's Guru Maharaj, he took us out one time on Harinam in London, and we came back into the temple room, Shishilad Mandishwar, because they have a late arti, and the curtains opened, and the Guru Maharaj was leading this kirtan. It was just like in another world, and we were all getting to share the taste that he was experiencing. He was bringing us in to this sacred space that he was in, by his mercy. And so that is like, you never forget that, those moments. The material world falls away, the spiritual world is right there before you. You never forget those experiences. And they keep you going. year after year after year. So it's so important. Some leading devotees, some advanced devotees leading a kirtan, and get in that kirtan. Give yourself a break. Get that taste. Tatati Padiguniti Guyam Akati Prichati Guyam, a secret. You have a secret thing in your heart and you reveal that to somebody else, then you become free. The problem shared is a problem halved. So you may have some problem in your heart. You share it with a devotee that you can trust. He hears it. He doesn't judge you. He says, okay, but well, let's just keep going. You'll be okay. And then the next minute you're okay. So the Guyam Akati Prichati is to open your heart to somebody, and he confidentially listens. He doesn't tell anybody else about it. And then also to accept and receive prashadam. So if you have somebody over at your home and you make nice prashadam and he accepts it, and that also creates deep bonds of affection, especially if it's really tasty. Yeah, yeah. 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 What we've discovered doing the Japa Sangha is sometimes there's like 5, sometimes there's 15, but generally a devotee will bring something to the table really, really amazing that we've never heard before about the holy name. And then you go away and it's like, wow, I never thought of that. I've never heard that one before, And then that inspires you to chant better. So it's such an invaluable resource. You get to share some realization, some experience that you've had individually yourself. You've been chanting, and you thought in this way, and suddenly the holy name was really present for you. And then we try, and then we come back the next week, and they say, oh, that last point such and such made, we all tried chanting like that this week, and it was amazing. Jiva Goswami says that you can only chant properly when you engage smaranam. So Shravanam and Kirtanam, if we don't do anything about smaranam, then guaranteed you're going to be remembering the wrong things, guaranteed. Even if you're trying to hear and just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, the memories will come in, flooding in of things you don't want to remember. So better to first of all proactively decide how I'm going to engage in smaranam. So if you heard inspiring things about the holy name and they're percolating in your mind whilst you're chanting, then you can chant properly. Then everything's engaged. The smaranam's engaged, kirtanam, shravanam, everything's there. Then we can chant nicely, chant deeply. So we're going to try and arrange regular. Oh, did you want to say something? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's called Namno Balada Hasya. It's the worst offense to the holy name is to sin or be offensive on the strength of the chanting of the holy name. So it's an unwanted thing. Aparad is unwanted. It's one of the things. In the stage of Ananta Nivritti, which is, first of all, there's some faith, then we associate, then we commit seriously, and then we start the process of getting free from unwanted things. So unwanted things are offensive natures. So if we have this nature that we want to manipulate the process of Krishna consciousness and facilitate our material desires or our laziness, then this is an abuse and offense toward the holy name. So we stagnate at that point. You can't make progress until you get free from that. And it's all based upon ignorance. Because of ignorance, we don't have a proper understanding, and therefore we do things which are offensive. So by getting the proper knowledge, then we can become free from doubts. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that doubts lead to arguments, and arguments lead to anarthas. So those doubts arise, and then we come up with really good arguments for why we don't need to surrender. And we think, well, that was a good argument. You know, I'll be okay. Krishna can't get on my case. That's a really good argument. So I'll be fine. I'm okay now. I'm off the hook. So that all that does is it stagnates. We don't make any progress. Because the goal is actually is to be enthusiastically pursuing the goal. And then it's up to Krishna when he gives the goal. But for ourselves, all we can do is enthusiastically pursue the goal. That's our goal, to do that. And then when Krishna wants to give the result, that's up to him. We have no say in that matter. We're just servants. It's up to he's the boss. When he decides it's the right time. Like if you have a mango, right? And you have a green mango, and you start shaking the mango, come on, ripen, come on, ripen now, or I'm going to hit you with a hammer. Ripen, come on. It'll ripen when it'll ripen in due course. And if you try to interfere with it, which is what happens with a lot of this fruit that we're getting now in the supermarkets, it's been picked unripe. It's been left frozen, and then it's taken out, gassed, and it starts to ripen, but it rots from the inside. So you get it, and you're waiting for it to ripen. You have your nectarine, it's rock hard. Then one day, it seems like it's soft. You bite into it, and it's gone rotten inside because they've forced it. So the whole thing's gone wrong. You just let things happen in natural due course. It will happen. You have to be patient. You have to wait. Whenever Krishna decides, you're ready to ripen. But if you get fed up halfway through and you think, man, this is not a proper mango. It's been green for weeks, and you chuck it, then you've got no chance of getting a ripe mango. You've got to wait patiently now and have faith that this is a real mango, but it's just not ripe yet. So that means you've got to be patient. And you've got to have faith that it is a mango. Somebody may say, that's actually not a mango. You've been ripped off, pal. That's actually a cucumber, and they've squished it to make it look like him. You've been ripped off, pal. Chuck that one in the bin. Go back for another one, you know. It is a mango, but it's just not ripe. You've got to wait. So you have to have knowledge about what a mango looks like so that you know you've got the right thing, and then be patient. Jai, okay, I'll leave it there. ISKCON Govinda ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Haribo. All of you ki jai.